Good morning and welcome back to Withrow Urban Homestead. It's 2 weeks before our last freeze and it's time to plant our Snapdragons into the GreenStalk planters. Now for winter, I unstacked the GreenStalk. I wanted to give it more exposure to the limited sun, moisture, and to be able to cover it with some fleece for protection. Now I redesigned my GreenStalks. I changed them. When I bought them, I bought 2 5-tiered planters and 2 3-tier planters. But I moved one from each 5-tier to make 4 4-tier planters, all the same, the perfect height for me to water. I also took off the top water reservoir. Because see how narrow this is? The houses are close together and they're really tall. And there's windows way up there that look down. And the reservoir, it just really was kind of ugly. I wanted full growth of herbs, flowers, and plants on the top so we could see that beauty when we looked down. Also, between the houses, it's a slope. So the self-watering system doesn't work right. It's too tilted, and one side will never get enough water. So I do water by hand. That's what works best for me. I also recycle the air conditioning water because we have window ACs. I either run a tube into the GreenStalk itself or run a tube into a watering can. That's why I redesigned the GreenStalks to match my needs. Now I've tried a variety of ways to grow in the GreenStalks, and what works best for me is planting good-sized transplants. Something along this size. So I start my seeds inside in the house. And these seedlings are 9 weeks old, and they're big enough. Starting seeds directly in the GreenStalk hasn't really worked well for me. Now, living in the center of downtown, squirrels will dig in my GreenStalks. Even if they're stacked, they climb up there and dig. So this hardware cloth protects them from the digging squirrels. Now, 5 weeks ago, I pinched back the tops of the Snapdragons, and that gave it more growth, and it'll bloom better later. So I pinched out the middle, and it sent out side shoots, and I pinched out the middle of those, and it sent out more side shoots. Then I did it again 3 weeks ago. Now, once the flowers fade, you do want to deadhead them, pinch them off. That'll encourage more blossoms. Now, if you're planting snapdragons in the soil in full sun, they're going to be about 20 to 24 inches tall. But here along the side of the house, we don't get full sun, so they tend to grow smaller. They tend to be about a foot tall, and they do tend to drape over. Now, if you plant your snapdragons into the garden, space them 6 to 12 inches apart. Now, I did thin all of these down just to one plant per pot. This is just one plant. Because the seeds are so tiny, it's easy to sow them really thickly. And there are going to be so many little plants that germinate. And if you plant that as a clump, it is going to limit their growth. So I took the time to thin them out to one. Now the GreenStalk has 6 pockets on each tier. And I like, for the 4 stacks, to plant the same plant in a diagonal on each tier. Because it makes it look like that plant is cascading down. I don't like the look when you plant the same plant on one tier and the same plant on one tier and the same plant on one tier. Now, if the whole GreenStalk, all 4 tiers are planted with only the same plant, it looks good. But like, for example, if you have your snapdragons on the top and the stalk in the next one and then marigolds, I just don't personally like the look of that. I prefer the diagonal cascading look. So there's 6 pockets, 6 pockets, 6 pockets, and 6 pockets. And they all have the same plants in them, but when I stack them, I'll put each tier 1 turn over. So I like to plant perennial greens in every other pocket. I don't have to replant those every year. So creeping Jenny, strawberries, and herbs. Then in between the greens, I plant annual flowers. So strawberry flower, creeping Jenny flower, herbs flower. Every other pocket is an annual flower, and I plant fresh ones every year. Pansies, stalk, snapdragons. Now these are all spring flowers, and it's mid-April right now, but mid-March, I'll switch them out for summer flowers, and those are currently growing in the basement. Petunias, annual periwinkle, dwarf French marigolds. Now, snapdragons grow best in 40 to 70 degree temperatures. Now, when you buy the GreenStalk, you have to fill it with soil. Make sure each tier is totally full to the top because the soil will settle. Now, every year you don't have to change and put fresh new soil. But you will have to make sure to feed your plants. All this soil is from last year, so I plan to feed them Fox Farm fertilizer. I'll just follow the directions. Every year you can also top off the soil. That's what I did last year. Or you can add some compost or a slow release, granular fertilizer. Now, slugs, snails, and pill bugs, they'll find their way up into these GreenStalks. So I use an organic product, Sluggo. I also use the yellow sticky paper. Now, 5 weeks ago, when I pinched back the tops of the Snapdragons, I propagated those tops into new plants, and I had mixed results. Some survived and some didn't. So I'm going to put these on the community shelf that I have behind the garage and share with the neighbors. Now, next week, I'll stack up the GreenStalks. I like to give them a week more access to the sun. Thank you for visiting Withrow Urban Homestead. See you later. Bye-bye.